Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really dig into the knowledge and insights you need without all the noise.
That's right.
And today, wow, we're looking at a future that's, well, it's unfolding right now, isn't it? We're talking humanoid robots.
Specifically from companies like 1X Technologies, they're
Yep.
moving out of the labs.
Exactly. Out of the labs and potentially into our lives in some pretty significant ways. This isn't science fiction anymore.
Not at all. It's becoming very real very fast.
And speaking of real, we've got a fascinating mission for this deep dive, and it comes directly from you, our listener.
Mm-hmm.
You've laid out this incredibly ambitious plan. You want to get your hands on a 1X humanoid robot.
Yeah. And not just get one, but be among the very first people in the world to actually use it.
That's the kicker. And you've even mentioned you'd approach 1X's CEO directly with this idea.
Even though they're not currently selling to individuals, which adds another layer of challenge.
It's audacious, definitely.
Yeah.
So our job today is to explore your vision, unpack these ideas you've shared.
Exactly. We'll look at your notes, your motivations, but also try to anticipate, what would the CEO ask? What questions would come up from their side?
Right. Because a request like this, it's not every day. It forces a real conversation about integration, about readiness.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic thought experiment with potentially huge real-world implications. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with your core motivation, the driving force behind all this. You pointed to a major problem. A lot of hospitals have a shortage of nurses.
And that immediately grounds this whole idea in a really critical real-world issue. It's not just about tech for tech's sake.
No, it's tackling a global healthcare challenge. Patient care, staff burnout. It affects everyone.
It really does. And framing it that way instantly gives your interest in these advanced robots a serious practical purpose.
So when you think about these 1X robots, they're known for being quite capable, right?
Yeah.
Walking, manipulating things, learning.
Very capable. Bipedal locomotion, sophisticated hands, and AI designed for general tasks. The potential to support overwhelmed hospital staff, well, it makes a lot of sense on paper.
A CEO at 1X would see that potential, surely, but they'd immediately want details, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. The first question would be, what specific tasks? Are you thinking logistics, moving supplies, linens, medications? That's one thing.
Okay, like the more physical, time-consuming stuff?
Right. Or are you envisioning tasks closer to patient interaction, maybe monitoring vital signs, relaying data, perhaps helping with patient mobility?
Ah, and those are very different challenges, much more complex, ethically and technically.
Exactly. Each type of task has different requirements for autonomy, for safety, for human interaction. That's the kind of detail a CEO needs to understand from the get-go.
So it's not just a robot helper, it's about the how and the what. What other big hurdles would a CEO likely bring up immediately? Safety must be huge.
Paramount. Hospitals are chaotic. You've got people moving quickly, unexpected obstacles, maybe spills on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
How does the robot navigate that safely, reliably, 24/7?
Good point. And what about interacting with patients? People who might be vulnerable, confused, or even scared.
That's the human element. Acceptance is key. Does the robot feel like a helpful presence or an intrusion? Technically, it's sensors, cameras, LiDAR, everything need to be flawless in interpreting subtle cues.
And patient data, privacy, security.
Massive implications.
Yeah.
Any robot handling health information needs top-tier cybersecurity and compliance with regulations like iPay. These aren't small details, they're fundamental.
These are the things a CEO would absolutely need solid answers on before even considering a pilot project based on your idea.
Precisely. They need to ensure it aligns with the robot's capabilities now and with 1X's reputation for safety and ethics.
Okay, so let's move to your first practical step. You said, use myself and see how does the robot work. This is fascinating personal immersion.
It really is. You're not just reading specs, you're living with the technology.
Why is that direct experience so crucial, do you think? What does it offer that, say, a slick demo video doesn't?
Well, for a company like 1X, focused on general-purpose AI, that first-hand feedback is like gold dust.
Yeah.
Demos are controlled environments.
Right, they show the best-case scenario.
Exactly. But living with it, that's where you find the quirks, the limitations, the unexpected successes in a real messy environment like a home.
So you'd be testing its intuition, maybe? How it handles things it hasn't explicitly been trained for?
Precisely.
Right.
A CEO would be thinking, okay, this is an N of 1 test, but it's real. What tasks are you actually giving it? Does it learn? How does it cope with novelty?
Like, can it pick up a dropped sock as easily as a dropped pill bottle? Can it navigate around the cat sleeping in the hallway?
Those are the edge cases, the things that don't show up on a data sheet but are critical for real-world functionality. This personal use becomes a kind of informal stress test.
So by being the user yourself, you get this unique perspective. But what are the specific discoveries 1X might be most interested in? Maybe how it interprets your gestures or learns your habits.
Yeah, things like its ability to understand implicit commands or how quickly it adapts to your specific way of doing things. Maybe limitations and fine motor skills only show up when you ask it to, I don't know, fold laundry awkwardly.
Yeah, the real challenges. But here's a thought. Could getting to know the robot personally, maybe even getting attached to it, introduce bias later on?
That's a really sharp point. A CEO would definitely consider that. The value of subjective insight versus the need for objective data.
So they'd appreciate the personal testing, but with a grain of salt.
I think so.
Hmm.
They'd be keenly interested in observations about its generalization. Can it apply learning from your home tasks to, say, hospital tasks later? Where does it still need human help?
Practical stuff too, like battery life under constant use, how it handles clutter. Does it actually understand you when you talk to it naturally?
Yes, all those details. Speech recognition, navigating messy rooms, battery endurance. These are crucial engineering data points.
Yeah.
Your home essentially becomes a living lab for them.
Okay, so from that personal living lab phase, your next step is more public, but still cautious. You plan to introduce one robot to hospital and monitor the situation by accompany it.
That phrase, accompany it, is key. It's not just deploy and see what happens,
No, it implies a very hands-on, human-in-the-loop approach.
which is exactly what you'd want, especially in a hospital. It suggests active oversight, maybe real-time guidance, potentially stepping in if needed. It's about safety, building trust.
It feels like a very sensible, phased introduction. You're not overwhelming the system.
Right. It allows for careful assessment, see how it really performs, identify problems early, get feedback from staff and patients without a huge upfront commitment.
A CEO would appreciate that measured approach, I imagine, but again, they'd want specifics on the monitoring, wouldn't they?
Definitely. Who is doing the accompanying? What specific data are you collecting? What are the success metrics? Is it just did the task? Or are you looking at save time, reduced workload for nurses, patient reactions?
Yeah, what does success actually look like in this context? How does it tie back to the original problem, the nurse shortage?
Exactly. Are you aiming for the robot to take over routine supply runs between floors? Basic inventory checks? Maybe guiding visitors? Those seem like plausible starting points.
Plausible and less risky than direct patient interaction initially.
For sure. And the critical data would be, does this genuinely free up nurse time? Does it reduce their physical burden? Or does it accidentally create new bottlenecks or frustrations?
That's crucial. It has to be a net positive, not just shifting the work.
Precisely. The CEO needs to see the return on investment, not just financially, but in terms of real human impact on the nursing staff and patient care. They look at metrics like time saved, task accuracy, any incidents, but also qualitative feedback.
What do the nurses think? How do patients feel?
That qualitative data is vital. How quickly do staff learn to work with the robot? Do they trust it? Are there unexpected psychological effects on patients seeing a machine doing these tasks? These are complex but critical factors.
Okay, so we've gone from personal use to careful hospital integration, now for a complete shift.
Right, this is where it gets really unique.
Your final request. Finally, I would like to request your company to create a robot with a Japanese anime character design and introduce it into my home.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pivot. From hospital logistics to highly personalized home companionship.
It moves completely beyond just function, doesn't it? It's about aesthetics, personality, emotional connection.
Absolutely. The focus shifts from what the robot does to how it looks and feels, its identity. Requesting an anime design is very specific.
Why anime, do you think? What does that signal?
Well, anime has huge cultural resonance. Its characters often evoke strong emotional responses. Maybe it's about creating something engaging, relatable, but clearly not trying to be perfectly human.
Potentially avoiding that uncanny valley feeling, where something is almost human but off.
That could be part of it. An anime design is stylized. It sets different expectations. It raises a fundamental question for 1X, how much customization is feasible or desirable, especially for a home robot.
Does the look and personality matter more when it's sharing your personal space 24/7?
It seems likely, doesn't it? It stops being just a tool and starts becoming something else, a companion maybe.
It's such a fascinating contrast, though.
Yeah.
The serious problem-solving robot for hospitals versus this highly personal, aesthetically driven one for the home.
It really highlights the potentially diverse roles we envision for these machines. Efficiency and safety on one hand, connection and personality on the other.
What challenges does that pose for a company like 1X? Is the anime robot a distraction, or is it tapping into a whole new future market?
That's the strategic question the CEO has to grapple with. Technically, an anime design isn't just a paint job. It might mean custom movement, different ways of expressing emotion or interacting, maybe even specialized AI for that persona.
It's a whole different product almost.
Potentially, yes. It shifts the business model too. From potentially B2B hospital sales to B2C consumer electronics, that's a massive leap in branding, support, scale, everything.
So this desire for personalization, it suggests robots might become less like appliances and more like, well, companions tailored to our individual tastes.
It certainly points that way. A future where robots aren't just efficient workers, but reflect our preferences, our cultures, blurring that line between utility and relationship. It suggests the future of robotics might be incredibly personal.
So reflecting on this whole journey you've mapped out, it's incredibly thoughtful.
It really is. Very layered.
Starting with a major societal problem, the nurse shortage, and moving through careful, monitored integration in a hospital setting.
Yeah, very practical, very focused on safety and impact.
And then ending in this deeply personal space with a request for customized companionship, specifically that anime aesthetic for your home. It bridges this huge gap.
It does. Between the big picture, societal needs, and the very intimate individual desire for connection, for something that fits your life.
Your whole plan, including that bold idea of approaching the CEO directly, it really gives us a sense of the complex future ahead for humanoid robots.
It shows they're not just going to be tools. They're potential partners that need careful thought about how we integrate them, how we oversee them.
And how we might even want to personalize them creatively.
Exactly. It forces us to think about blending the practical with the personal, the efficient with the expressive. It's clear that adoption won't be a simple straight line.
It definitely won't. And your vision leaves us with a really provocative thought, doesn't it? As these robots get smarter, more capable,
Yeah.
how much personalization will we actually demand? Will we want robots that just do tasks, or ones that reflect our style, our interests, maybe even our favorite anime?
And what totally unexpected roles might they end up playing in our lives once we start combining that utility with deep personalization and cultural influences, things we can't even foresee today?
It feels like we're not just going to be using this technology. We're going to be shaping it, co-creating relationships with it, one interaction at a time.
A fascinating future to consider.